That's right. Welcome, everybody, to the Friday morning edition of Sports Shorts Daily. Ronnie Rants alongside Tommy Krysan, TK over at Tremonti's Meat and Seafood in Baton Rouge. You can see, obviously, they got a great beer, wine, liquor selection over there, but also fantastic food. If you're tailgating and you want to get those great Christmas items, for the parties and whatnot, go to Tremonti's. I'm at an undisclosed location presented by the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame, lasportshall.com. We got our Santa Super 7 auction starting on Tuesday of next week. That'll run for 7 days. So check it out. Santa Super 7 auction coming up. Don't want to miss it. A lot of great stuff. Get your Christmas gifts for that sports lover in your family. And, of course, we're presented by LeBear's Casino. LeBear's Casino at the Sportsbook last night was a good place to be to watch. LSU's women, Tigers' top 10 team in the country, took on an unranked Stanford team. Stanford came in with one loss on the season, but number one in the nation in efficiency on offense. And they had the lead until they didn't. And, they were dominated really LSU and then found themselves with a 5-point lead with 23 seconds left to go. The Tigers hit a three. Then with 16 and a half seconds left or whatever, they had a steal on an inbounds pass, and then they were able to hit a big 2-pointer to tie it, send it into overtime, and win, dominated overtime. But a tremendous win at home, great crowd, tremendous student section. These are the kind of wins that'll get your team rolling and get your fans going in the right direction. Of course, they play Sunday up in Bossier, Shreveport area. Michaela Williams, who hit that big jumper to send it into overtime. She's from that area, so it's a little homecoming game for her. But there'll be a big crowd up there. Of course, they love Coach Mulkey after her time at Louisiana Tech and Baylor. A lot of Baylor fans on that I-20 region up there between Dallas and Ruston. They'll be there on Sunday. But what a game last night. This isn't the Stanford team of old. This isn't the team that, been competing for national championships, but still a big win against a branded team, an ACC win.
Yeah, it really was. Of course, they have a new coach after their legendary coach retired last year. But, Ronnie, I'd heard about Michaela Williams a little bit, and then I was working in Hammond at the state tournament. I saw her play 2 games, a semifinal game and a championship game, and I remember thinking that this girl's going to be one of the best players at LSU ever if she continues to progress, and she has. She, pretty good year last year, ups and downs a little bit, but the big night last night, LSU never led in that game until you got to the overtime period, and now they're 10-0. And, yeah, it's not the Stanford of old, but it's the SEC-ACC challenge, which the SEC dominated that in both men and women. Boy, how did that come a long way, huh? From what the ACC used to be. But the big crowd, like you said, and it was a little social media controversy. A lot of people left in the fourth quarter when it looked like the game was going to go Stanford's way. I mean, they went by 5 with less than a minute to go. You heard Kim Mulkey's comments after it?
No,
I noticed. She said, I noticed, and I'm taking names. See y'all at church next week. She kind of took a little shot over the bow, okay.
Yeah, so she saw a couple people. She realized their seats were empty. That's funny. That's the thing about Kim Mulkey, man. She notices everything. That's also what makes her great. Like Nick Saban was the same way. Skip was the same way. They notice every little small detail. That everything matters. And that's part of what makes those coaches so great. And that's funny.
It's what makes them elite. We use that word. We don't throw that around a whole lot, but, I go back to when her first press conference. You better buy your tickets now because they're going to be hard to get in a couple of years. We're going to put a national championship on the wall. Boom. Mission accomplished so far. And, for the men the other night beating Florida State, we talked about that was a tournament-worthy win. LSU women are going to be in the tournament unless there's a major collapse. But it was good to get that win the way they did, with down 5 with less than a minute to go and find a way to win it at home. The crowd was, the ones that stayed were fired up.
It was a fantastic win for them. And what the men did in the ACC SEC challenge was a shocker. I mean, complete domination. 2 games they really lost were the 2 best teams in the league. Talking about Kentucky losing on the road and Auburn losing to Clemson. Both those teams are, competing for a national championship. But outside of that, the conference really dominated, which also is scary for LSU basketball because the Tigers had a win, an impressive win in that ACC challenge, but at the same time lost a Reed, one of their better players, out for the year with a knee injury. They already had their top 3-point shooting player from a year ago, right before the first game of the season, literally minutes before the first game of the season, they announced that he won't be with the team, going to be in the transfer portal for personal reasons. So they're already getting thin now with the depth, and in a league that's harder than maybe from top to bottom than it has been in quite a while. So this is an LSU men's basketball team that has to get all the wins it can out of conference. And then, their RPI numbers, their strength of schedule, all that stuff's got to kick into play. And hopefully they can go 500 and give themselves a chance to, talk about NCAA tournament. But prediction wise, this is a team that's not expected to make the NCAA tournament, expected to be an NIT team. And they may be a better team than they were a year ago, but may not have a better record, because the conference is harder. So something to watch for. No question about it. All right, TK, NFL news last night, a hell of a game, maybe one of the games of the year kind of thing last night. The Lions beat the Packers, two teams that look like playoff teams. Obviously, the Lions now are a playoff team officially. They punched their ticket. They've won 11 in a row. Dan Campbell does things unorthodox. The former New Orleans Saints assistant, former New Orleans Saints tight end. Next to the New Orleans Saints, I'm a Lions fan. The Saints are out, so I'm pulling for the Lions to win the Super Bowl. That said, boy, he makes you want to pull your hair out as a fan. Last night has a chance to kick a 38-yard field goal with under a minute to go to, put his team up with like 45 seconds left in a tie ball game. Instead, goes for it on fourth down to gamble to run out of the clock so that they can kick the winning field goal and walk off the field and not give the Jordan Love and the Packers a chance. And it almost backfires on them.
But it was a great call because it worked. Okay, it's
right.
It's one of those. I mean, it worked. And Dan Campbell, when he got hired in Detroit about bite the kneecaps, and I mean he was fiery and all that. By the way, he played at Texas A&M. Some people don't remember that, but anyway, I mean he is Dan Campbell. He's unique, and he's turned a franchise it's one of the teams that's never been to a Super Bowl, and he has turned the franchise around. My second favorite uniforms of all time are the Lions with that Honolulu blue and silver. I just think that's a great looking uniform. Now, everybody mixes up uniforms now, but you know what I'm saying. So, but Dan Campbell has made a difference in a franchise that, its history is, other than Barry Sanders and a few other great games with the Packers on Thanksgiving Day, they didn't have a whole lot to talk about. And I guess the receiver Johnson, but I mean, what he's doing is remarkable. They won 11 straight. It is hard to win 11 straight at anything you do in the world. They've won 11 straight NFL games, and they're on a roll, got to the conference championship last year, said they learned from it. Maybe they did.
Dempsey, Sanders, Johnson. That's what you knew about the Lions prior to and Alex Karras. You knew him, Webster's dad. But that was it. That's you knew. Yeah, it's a great story. It's a gritty town. It's sort of that team like the Saints were before they got Sean Payton and Drew Brees, that were the lovable losers sort of thing, and now they look like they're definitely one of the best teams in the NFL. The only problem is they're winning right now with a ragtag bunch, where they're beat up, have a lot of injuries, and so the fact that they can win without them, hopefully maybe some of them will get back healthy and they can make a run in the playoffs. But a lot of fun last night watching that game, and for the Packers, that was a tough one. I woulda, coulda, shoulda. But you mentioned with 45 seconds left, they 4th and inches, Jared Goff under center, and people always talk about why under center, Well, Jared Goff was under center and he's trying to run a handoff and gets his foot stepped on, trips and falls, literally has his knee on the ground. Had it been college, the play would have been called dead and it would have been a turnover on downs, but it's not. He wasn't touched by the opponent. So from one knee, he reaches over and barely makes the handoff, and they get the first down and able to run down the clock, kick the field goal, but almost a disaster. Very unorthodox. When you watch the Eagles, under their coach, and when you watch the Lions under their coach, it is a go for it on fourth down clinic. You will have to pull your hair out if you're a fan, because it's not orthodox. It is unorthodox, but at the same time, but big risk, big reward.
Well, and here's two things. One, their best defensive player, Hutchinson, is out for the year. Okay, somebody has stepped up. But number two, the biggest quality of a successful quarterback is accuracy. Goff is a very accurate quarterback. Can he throw it 70 yards? Probably not. Is he the biggest guy? Probably not. But he is a very accurate passer, like a Joe Montana. I'm just saying, with accuracy, which is a key to being a good. I don't care if you're a high school quarterback in the state semifinals tonight, somewhere in Louisiana. You have to be accurate with the football. And as you get to the NFL, that accuracy window becomes a lot smaller because guys don't get wide open unless there's a busted coverage.
To your point, I think he completed his last 13 or 14 passes in a row last night to end the game. I mean, he was outstanding. All right, so now we go from the White House to the outhouse. The New Orleans Saints played on Sunday at the New York Giants. If this game were not being played in the largest media market in the United States, no one would even know it's happening. That's how bad the Giants are, and the Saints aren't far behind. But Saints, a favorite, got a chance to get a win. Quite frankly, Tommy, I hope they don't. I hope they don't for two reasons. One, yes, I don't want them to win meaningless games and ruin their draft stock. And two, I don't want the chance that they win just enough for Gail Benson to keep Darren Rizzi. I want them to blow this thing up and start fresh and get the best coaches and available and all that, and don't play the loyalty card. And in order to guarantee that, they need to lose.
Well, Saints are 4-8, Giants are 2-10. And I'm not sure who's quarterbacking for the Giants. Maybe Hunter McCann. I don't know. But, and it did come out in New Orleans this week that they don't think they're going to move on or away from Mickey Loomis. That was a report by one of the beat writers who, covers the Saints far better than you and I. They cover them 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That it looks like Loomis is going to hang around. I agree with you on your 2 points. Lose for the draft choice purposes, and let's don't get this loyalty card played by Gail Benson, which she did that with Dennis Allen, okay, and it didn't work. Rizzi actually interviewed for the job when it was given to Allen. So, hindsight's 20/20 to say now, that might have been better. We don't know the answer to that. But, Saints are a 4-point favorite, but come on, man, find a way to lose it.
As far as recruiting went for LSU, they in all the polls they had a top 10 recruiting class. They lost 2 or 3 bigger names, and at the end of the day, we're being sold that hey, we could have overpaid for 1 or 2 of these players by virtue of us not overpaying and spending money we didn't have. We're going to be able to go in the portal and get maybe 3 or 4 players for that price, that money at the cost of one. I'm okay with that, Tommy. It is what it is. I mean, LSU fans have to realize that this is a new game. This isn't about, look at our new facilities. Look at the fact that Ragu and his tailgate crew cook gumbo and your parents are welcome there anytime before the game. And, look, you can go to J Ribs and eat free after, we take care of our players. Those days are over with, right? Look, that guy won the Heisman. Look at that wall. Look at our alumni. Players do not care. You could be playing your games at Chalmette High as long as you write that check. And that's what it's about. And LSU is a middle of the pack team when it comes to writing checks in the SEC. They're not elite in that. So if you have teams that are, have those mega boosters or have, or have those NIL partners, those companies or whatever that are willing to do that, then and Louisiana does not. So you're going to lose some guys from time to time that you thought you had because they just get their offer flat out. Underwood at Michigan told the reporter this was a business decision, family decision, and he's happy with it, which I'm sure he is because he's been the hero of the state for the last week, and a half since he announced his flip from LSU to Michigan. But he made it clear that, hey, this is about taking care of my family and business. And that's what college sports is. I almost think they need to come up with another term, Tommy, just like the Savannah Bananas came up with banana ball because it's not baseball. I think we need to stop calling it college football. It's not college football. It's minor league football. It's pro football. It's just a different league. It's not the NFL. It's like in soccer. You have the Premier League, which is the top league, and then you got all these other leagues below it, but they're all professional. That's what the NCAA football is. Don't call it college anymore. It's pro football. It just has a smaller salary cap. That's it.
I agree with you 100%. I mean, it's not the college football that has been defined in the past 60, 70 years, and certainly not in the last 30 years. Whatever the definition of college football is, this isn't it. So maybe they do need to come up with a new, and that'd be marketing and branding, and they could sell a bunch of stuff. So they do need to come up with it. Maybe you need to trademark that, Ron, and we could make like the Rougarou the beneficiary of all profits.
Hey, it's in the Premier League soccer, you've got those teams up at the top that are willing to pay, hundreds and hundreds of millions of pounds, right? I mean, they're willing to. They've got bigger budgets than the teams, outside the top 10. You got 20 teams in Premier League, the top 8 teams or so, the 10 teams, those are the ones spending all the money. The bottom 10 teams are pretty much usually always kind of the bottom 10 teams. They have different amounts of money, and that's where LSU is. Brian Kelly said that at his press conference, basically like explain, hey, we didn't want to overpay. I mean, it is what it is. Kind of called out the boosters, right? Like, I mean, if you want better players, if you want these superstars, you got to pony up. I mean, it is what it is.
Said the man making $10 million a year, yeah. But well, now, and also it's been revealed this week that Will Campbell and Mason Taylor are going to give up their eligibility and go to the NFL draft. So whatever those two guys were making, and I don't know that number goes back into the collective, and maybe that helps get somebody who right now is not quite as good as them, but might be one day.
Yeah, I kind of think they planned for that, though. I don't think that's a shocker to anybody. Will Campbell or Young going to the Taylor. I mean, going to the draft. I think everybody kind of expected that, and I'm sure more will. Nowadays, it's about players going to the draft where you're like, wait, why are they going to the draft? But in those two guys' cases, I don't blame them. I don't think they can do more than what they've done. I mean, Campbell did have a lot of penalties, more penalties this year than you thought. He wasn't, as good as we thought, but I don't think it's affecting his draft stock much. He's still going to be a first-round draft pick. The question is whether he's going to be 5th, 10th, 15th. Who knows? But he's definitely going to be a first-round pick and most likely an upper-tier, top 20 first-round pick.
Well, the measurables are there, and tackle's a very important position in the NFL. So, yes, somebody's going to make him that high pick. Taylor, maybe a second-round pick or early third round, because he's got some measurables too. And, of course, his dad's an NFL Hall of Famer. So, both of them guys are going to get a shot and make a lot of money.
Left tackle, quarterback, the two positions that teams reach on in the NFL. Like nowadays, you take them earlier, they make more money than the other positions. And that benefits anybody who plays those two positions and plays them well. Pelicans with a surprising win last night. They've been terrible this year, but at home against the Phoenix Suns, who had no Kevin Durant. When he doesn't play, it's a different world. Suns are 1-7 when Durant doesn't play. But Pelicans got a big win. They had 2 of their 3. Ingram and McCollum played in the game. Of course, no Z. He's still going to be out another 2-3 weeks, they're saying. Reports are. What else we got, TK?
Well, you got high school semifinals around the state tonight. A lot of Baton Rouge area teams, a lot of New Orleans area teams, and of course, statewide, Ruston's a really good team up in North Louisiana, and it's gonna be. I'll be following all those scores tonight. I got some good friends that are still alive with their teams coaching, so you got all of that. I mean, ready for a weekend. And I guess the other thing is all the conference championship games. Tulane tonight. Southern tomorrow during the day, Raging Cajuns tomorrow night. And then we will find out the 12 playoff teams come Sunday. So a big weekend in that world as well.
The Southern finds themselves a 2-touchdown dog against Jackson State. But the Raging Cajuns are favored at home So if you're a Louisiana fan, if you're in South Louisiana, obviously the game's being played Mississippi for Southern, but head on over to Lafayette. I tell you what, they've been really the surprise story this year. They were not expected to be this good, and they have played outstanding. And unfortunately, they're going to win a championship, I believe, Tommy. They're going to get the T-shirts and the hats and all that stuff. And then they're going to watch their top 8 players leave and go in the portal and go play at bigger schools next year, which is the life of a mid-major.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And hopefully they can go bowling somewhere other than in New Orleans. They've made a lot of trips to the Superdome for the New Orleans Bowl. So I hope they go somewhere else.
Yeah, I heard that that's
But
probably going to happen. One of the games that they're sort of thrown around was the Raging Cajuns playing in the Independence Bowl against West Virginia. That would be an interesting game. There's also I've seen things having them everywhere from Frisco, Texas to Orlando, Florida as well. But the one that caught my eye the most was, granted the players don't want to go to Shreveport for a bowl game, but as a fan, you'd like to see Louisiana play a branded team, a Power Four team, that kind of stuff. And West Virginia fits that mold. So we'll see what happens. All right, TK, we'll be over at Fat Daddies and Little Daddies in Plaquemine for Sports Shorts Radio, which you can listen to it on radio, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and Lake Charles. Tell us about Tremonti's on the way out.
Well, Tremonti's, of course, got gift cards, everything you need for Christmas, the wine, the liquor, the meat, the seafood. Prime ribs, especially at Christmas time, I'll be ordering that. And normally Tremonti's is closed on Mondays each and every week, but Monday, December 23 and Christmas Eve, they will be open. So you will be able to get your last minute stuff. They can cater your Christmas parties, you're at your office, at the home, in the neighborhood. They got gift cards available, which are great gift ideas. Tremonti's Meat and Seafood. You want to check them out. Don't forget radio tomorrow morning. And as we always say near the end of the show, like and share this show. That makes everything go round and round a little bit better, whether you're on Facebook, YouTube, or X. Like and share this show. On behalf of Ronnie Rance, I'm Tommy Christ. Have a great day, everyone.